Tonight on Alaska's news source, one man is dead and another is charged with murder. Details on what officers found this morning in Anchorage. Plus, dangerous weather leaves its mark in Petersburg. Damage to a dugout caught on camera. Thankfully, those stormy conditions have subsided in Southeast, and even statewide, we'll be seeing drier and calmer conditions. And the electric company explains why the power lines fell onto the road in Anchorage last night and why it took so long to fix. Plus, a high school love story. A big football game ends with a big question.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
One man is dead and another was arrested after the Anchorage Police Department was called in reference to a stabbing just after midnight this morning. It happened around the 400 block of East 36th Avenue. That's near 36th and Valley. This is video of the general area. We don't have details on exactly where it happened. APD says officers found a man with trauma to the upper body when they arrived. The fire department performed CPR, but the man died at the scene. APD says the suspect, Greg Choluk, was later arrested on a murder charge. And it took about 8 hours for power to be restored to all customers after power lines fell onto a road in the downtown Anchorage area last night. Chugach Electric says the repairs took so long because there was a lot to fix. It says an overhead piece of equipment in the field failed. That failure caused cascading failures of hardware on power poles downline. Multiple overhead spans of wire fell on the ground. Power was restored around 2:45 this morning. And check this out, caught on camera. High winds Friday night in Petersburg left major damage at the ball fields. The Petersburg Little League president sent us this video. There were hurricane force gusts in town that night. She says the winds completely destroyed the visitors' dugout on the primary field, and she says there's also significant damage to the covered structure over the bleachers next to the dugout. While the borough owns the complex, she says Petersburg Little League, a volunteer-run nonprofit, is responsible for the upkeep and management. But she says the organization is hoping to lean on the borough to help with the repairs. Cleanup is expected to start Monday. And Bailey, you said that Southeast is seeing a reprieve from that difficult weather?
Yes, finally starting to see some drier conditions. So we might still have some cloudy conditions moving into tomorrow, but we're pretty much done with the rain compared to what we saw last week, which was really heavy winds and also really heavy rain. So even just looking at our current conditions right now, down in the corner, you can see Ketchikan. Look at those bright sunny skies. So we're finally starting to see that break in those stormy conditions. We're going to start to see a little bit of that break moving on through this work week, and we're even going to see that in South Central. And honestly, that's pretty much moving statewide. But if you'll notice in the Fairbanks camera, there is a little bit of snow in the corner, and I'll be talking about that a little bit more during full weather. But with our day planner and our photo from Jesse, you can expect to see those mostly sunny skies moving through Anchorage tomorrow, and our peak temperature around 49 degrees. So still a little bit on the chilly side, but you could say it's technically warm for the season. So we're going to start to see those temperatures really starting to drop in the next week or so, and you can even tell with those low temperatures moving in overnight. But we're starting to see those clear conditions from western Alaska all the way into the interior and even in South Central. So that's a nice little break that we can start to see. And of course, I wanted to throw in a nice aurora forecast since we do have those drier and clearer skies moving on in. So for tonight specifically, you will have some medium activity going on. So try to go outside and catch the aurora if you're able to. But just for my fall fans out there, of course, the foliage season is the biggest part of the fall. So we're about peak right now, so make sure you get outside in South Central and see those peak colors before they're gone. We're pretty much seeing past peak from the interior all the way up into the north slope, so those colors are vanishing pretty quickly. But Michaela, my Brain and Brawn fun fact for you, of course, on trend for the season is that in the fall and winter, we actually start to see more static electricity since, you know, the pressure drops and there's less moisture in the air. So if you're at home, you could just slide your socks around on the carpet and shock some people if you want. That's what I used to do when I was little, so.
Use a balloon on your hair, make it stand up.
Exactly, yeah.
Thanks, Bailey. A marine heat wave spanning the North Pacific started in early summer and is raising concern among some Alaskan scientists. What you're looking at right now is data from NOAA showcasing the rise in temperatures. There have been 2 memorable marine heat waves to scientists in recent years, around 2014 and again in 2019. Rick Steiner, a retired professor of marine conservation at the University of Alaska, says those events caused the death of millions of marine mammals and seabirds. While these events happen periodically, for Steiner, the frequency and intensity is a cause for concern.
So all these ocean temperature phenomena are going on simultaneously, and these marine heat waves are particularly concerning because they can elevate sea surface temperatures.
Because heat waves won't show the impacts immediately, Steiner says it's especially important for our coastal communities to remain vigilant.
The best monitors of this sort of thing are the people that live around the coast of Alaska, observing and reporting their observations of emaciated or struggling organisms, marine organisms on the beaches or offshore. The fishing industry, can be very useful in making these observations and reporting them.
Some more powerful heat waves can cause mass die-offs for animals. Steiner says the heat wave that happened around 2014 killed around 4 million seabirds. In the interior, the Fairbanks School District is preparing to implement a new strategic plan for the next 5 years, focusing on school choice and options for families. Voted in this spring by the school board, the goal is to bring students back who have left to homeschool outside the district. The plan includes turning elementary schools into focus schools, each specializing in a subject like science, math, or art, along with keeping general education requirements. The school board president says students will still be able to go to their area school. This just creates another option for families.
The school district has often been, told that we don't look at our community enough. We don't listen to what's going on with our community enough. We're not listening to the input. And so this is the here, we're listening. We want you to be here. We want you to be a part of this, and we want you involved.
District officials are still hashing out the implementation details, so it's unclear when families will see changes. Another option under consideration is for students to be able to split their day between in-person classes and homeschooling. And still ahead, as a possible government shutdown looms nationally, we spoke with a justice correspondent who explains the possible impacts. And it's a night one couple will never forget. It ended with a big question on a high school football field.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
With the possibility of a government shutdown quickly approaching, political reporter Will Courtney sat down with our CBS Justice correspondent earlier this week to talk about the impacts.
We are 4 days away from this shutdown right now. Why don't you explain to, Alaskans, but also Americans in general, why this matters, why this context matters, and why this moment matters? What happens if the government goes into a shutdown?
We can't remember in recent times a shutdown of the federal government that was this likely or almost this certain to happen. The deadline is Tuesday night. Eastern time, it's midnight before the shutdown commences, and the two sides aren't just at a stalemate, they're not even talking. Democrats and Republicans are not having meetings, not conversing. This thing is on a trajectory towards a shutdown. What does that mean locally? Any number of federal workers, of which our area has so many, would go without paychecks and would not be able to go onto the job. It cuts off some services. The veterans hospitals stay open. The FAA continues to help with all of our local flights, and emergency services continue. But lots of things get dialed back, and that has an economic impact. But there doesn't seem to be any trajectory change between now and Tuesday. No meetings are scheduled. No phone calls are planned. This thing seems inevitable, if not imminent.
You can hear an extended version of that discussion on our free streaming platforms on Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and Roku. Download the app today.
Thanks for listening. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcast from Alaska's news source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.